Today we have an exciting video on the Brick-Reading Railroad. The first ever comparison on the channel of a Lego train versus a Lionel train. Which one is closer to its real-life counterpart? Let's find out. Before we get started with the regularly scheduled video, I have an exciting announcement on the Brick-Reading Railroad. The Brick-Reading Railroad will be at Steamtown as part of the North Pole Limited excursion on December 21st and 22nd. See you there if you're already booked, and make sure you check it out. If you haven't, I believe admission is free to see the Lego exhibit, but you can also ride the train and support Steamtown's current projects. There will also be a new locomotive added to the Brick-Reading Railroad roster for the Steamtown event. Make sure you're one of the first to see it before it even gets put on the channel. Stay tuned. So in overviewing these two models of Reading 1251, which is in preservation at the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania, I will be comparing the real-life model to both counterparts and focusing on details and accuracy of each view of the locomotive. That's going to be the front, the side, the back, and the top. I've never seen the bottom of 1251, so we're not going to be focusing on that. And the top will only be focusing on details, as there's no strong pictures of the top of 1251, so that won't be a focus point. We'll just look at the details on that. These will be rated from a 1 to 5 scale. Let's get started with the front. Alright, so let's start with the Lionel model. This is a older run of 1251. It's not the newer Lion Chief model, but they are the same chassis, just with less features, which the functionality of the Lego model is nothing compared to the Lionel model, but we'll get to that later. So, if we look at the front of 1251 in real life at the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania, and we compare it to this Lionel model, which unfortunately has a broken component since this was purchased at a train show on a nice discount. So this will factor into durability, but not into cosmetics. But if we take a look at it, there is not a single yellow component on the front of this engine. This does not look like 1251 in terms of the color scheme. This drawbar, or this bar here, is prototypical. That's prototypical. The steps do look right. The coupler is enormous on the locomotive. The boiler cap is pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's really good for a model. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with the headlight. That is not the same. It's not even close. There's no attempt made on the headlight to make it even remotely close to 1251. So it has some good details. Also has the bars connecting there. There's some good things going on here. There's also some not so good things. It's got some color issues. 1251 you can interpret as either gray or black on the boiler, so I'll give Lionel the fairness there, but it's missing the yellow, so it loses a point on color. I'm deducting a point on the light because I'm not even sure what's going on there. 1251 also has a pretty large stack, and it's not even in the picture there. That is much smaller than its real life. I'm going to give it a solid 3 out of 5. It's a solid... This is on I'm going to give it a solid 3 out of 5 overall. I'm going to give it a 4 on details. It's got all the components of 1251. It's just missing the color. It's missing the bar across there. It's missing a number of details, but it's overall really solid on details. Accuracy, however, it's getting a 2. I can't ignore the headlight, the missing yellow, the giant coupler. That's an O scale thing, but when we get to the Lego, the coupler is actually going to look decently scaled, so I'd say it's fair to give Lionel a 2 out of 5. Now we come over to the Lego. It is commercially available, so it's not like you can't build it. So if we start by looking at details, the steps are present with the right color. The grab irons in the front are the right color and present, and take up a little bit more space than the prototypical model. Might have to change that, honestly. But overall, it's got the details present. The headlight is pretty prototypical to its real-life counterpart. It's missing some numbers, simple decals that can be added. That will be a later category as well, the decals. So I'm not going to take too many points off on that. It's got a right height smokestack. It's missing the iron there. It doesn't have as clear of a boiler cap. Not exactly sure what's going there. For accuracy, it's missing. Yeah, this doesn't represent the front pilot or the front part of the locomotive, as well as the Lionel model. That's a point deduction. This is a little high, so I'm going to take off half a point there. I'm going to give it a 3.5 on accuracy, and on details I'm also going to give it a 3.5. It's not quite as good as Lionel on details, but it's significantly better on accuracy. The components that should be there are there, and it also got the color right. And with that leaves both models as a tie on the front. Let's go to the side to see if we can differentiate between the two. The side is where we honestly start to differentiate between the two models extensively. That is, the Lego versus the Lionel versus the real-life counterpart. So let's start with the obvious. 1251 has 2 windows. Lionel put 3. It's got 3 wheels. This has 3 wheels. The 3 wheels are the same size. The 3 wheels are not the same size. There's a part there. There's no part here. You have the pump on 1251. There's nothing on the Lionel model. The bell is right next to the smokestack on the other side. The bell is behind the smokestack. Other than the fact that it has 6 wheels and a bar going across there, there is nothing accurate about this model, other than the fact that it's a dockside switcher. There's a door where there isn't supposed to be a door. Lionel just used the generic model of a dockside switcher for all the switchers and happened to put 1251 decals on it. For accuracy, it gets a 1. Details, I'll be generous and give it a 2. You compare it to the actual locomotive, and it's missing many of the details that makes 1251, and that doesn't mean make the Lionel model bad on the side. It's a good dockside switcher, but in terms of details of 1251, it's just missing too much to give it a 3. Let's get to the Lego model. One thing I forgot to mention with the Lionel model was the proportions, which become very evident with the Lego model versus the real-life counterpart. The Lego model has the proper proportions of 1251. The Lionel model is very elongated, which the Lego model is a slightly larger scale than the Lionel model. That still doesn't excuse the elongated body. But let's get into the details of the Lego model. So we have the correct part there. The tubing is a little off on the Lego model. This detail's present. The drive is okay on the Lego model. It does not reflect the actual drive as well as the Lionel model, except for the fact that the wheels are approximately the same size and the right color. There's grab irons along the open entryway to the cab. There's the correct numbers of windows, even if it's not exactly sized correctly. We take a look at the tubing underneath. There's not a whole lot on the Lego model since this part covers it up. It sort of represents the tubing on the side. It's not exact though, and honestly doesn't look too much like tubing. It's not bad. The Lionel model didn't have it either, so it's not perfect on details. Give it a solid 3. There's a lot of accurate details to this 1251 model. The front detailing solid, and it's got the grab irons and some detailing underneath the step. In terms of accuracy, I'll give it a 4. There's nothing glaringly wrong with this model. It's got the right proportions, it's got the walkway, the right windows, the right part there. The drive, again, isn't 100% accurate. This is supposed to be tubing, not just a solid piece. It's a solid 4. It's a good Lego model. It has imperfections, but it's still much more accurate than the Lionel model. And with that, we give the Lego model the win on the side. Now let's go to the back, which I unfortunately don't have a picture of, but we'll quickly go over it in comparison of the two models. So we look at the backs of the two models. There are a large number of differences between the two. So the Lionel model has a lot of nice detailing at the base of the locomotive. Again, the lobster coupler, but it's standard in O gauge. It has, again, the wrong light. It has coal here. The Lego model has a door. The Lego model has the correct light, but no detail under there. So, in detail, give the Lionel model a solid 3. I like what the Lionel model does with the details, and the Lego model is arguably bland in the back. There's not much going on here other than the door, which is much more accurate, other than the fact that the guy has a face on the back. If we look at the two models on the rear in terms of accuracy, the fact that the Lego model has the correct door and the Lionel model just put coal in the back. The Lionel model has an incorrect light. The Lego model has the correct light, has the correct proportions. Lego model gets a 4. Lionel model gets a 2. Now let's go to the top details. Alright, so one of the big issues with making a Lego model is the smokestack, which, looking between the two models, it's very obvious which has the better smokestack. The Lionel clearly takes the win on the smokestack, has much more details on the top compared to the Lego model. You have rivets on the cab where you just have smooth on the Lego. On the top, Lionel gets a 5 on the details. The Lego, it's a solid attempt at details, but it's only a 2. So on the top of the locomotive, Lionel gets the win. And now with that, we have the totals for the detail components of the two models of 1251 compared to the real-life model of 1251. And with that, We give a win with the Lego with a score of a 3 versus Lionel's 2.7. The Lionel model has really nice detail, it just really lost on the accuracy. The Lionel model has details that the Lego model doesn't, and is more accurate in some parts than the Lego, but overall, the Lego model is of 1251. The Lionel model is a random dockside switcher. So if you're looking for the better model of 1251, go with the Lego. But that isn't all that matters in model railroading. So we'll start with the other categories of functionality, durability, and decals. So we'll start with decals because this one is most obvious. The Lionel model clearly wins on the decal department. These are pieces of paper taped onto the locomotive. Can do better in Lego form, but if we're going to be comparing these models fairly, gotta give the Lionel model credit where it's due. Lionel model gets a 5, being generous with the Lego, gets a 2. Then for durability, considering a step is broken off the Lionel model, and if I break off a piece of the Lego model, I can just put it back on. Because it's Lego, gets a durability of a 5. Lionel gets a durability of a 4. It's overall a really solid model. And it's a very durable model. If you give it to a young child, you're not going to worry about the model falling to pieces. It may lose a step, or a bell, or some small part. It's not as durable as the Lego, but it's extremely durable. It gets a 4. Then in functionality, this is a fault of the designer of the Lego model of 1251. This model can only be pushed from behind by another locomotive or piece of rolling stock. That's a fault of the brick reading railroad. And because of that, functionality gets a 2. It can run on Lego radius curves, but it doesn't actually run. This Lionel model runs really well and can pull a decent number of cars for its size. It goes around 027 curves, I believe, and is a functional model, unlike the Lego model. So in functionality, it gets a 5. And with that, that actually puts the Lionel model on top over the Lego model, 3.3 versus 3. With that, the Lego model won the detail battle. The Lionel model won the overall battle. But now the question is, which one is actually better? So coming into model trains, I had already had some experience with Lego trains and just continued on with it in Lego. Some of you come from having the O scale around the Christmas tree, and then that becomes a whole layout and it's a different area. They're both similarly priced, with Lego skyrocketing in price over the years and Lionel also being very expensive. So there's no clear winner between Lego versus Lionel, unless you like to rotate your equipment where Lego, if you don't want this anymore, just turn it into something else. If I don't want this model of 1251, I have to sell it. I can't just turn it into a different switcher or completely different locomotive. I have to get a replacement and sell this one. It's all up to you guys. Do you think this was a fair assessment of these two locomotives? Comment below your opinions. Whether you agree with my claims, or if you completely disagree. Make sure to check out the Brick Riding Railroad layout at Steamtown, December 21st and 22nd. Like the video, and subscribe to the Brick Riding Railroad if you haven't. Stay tuned for some more LEGO content.